Hey everyone, today I thought I'd reflect on why you should shoot film in 2020. I'm a big advocate of shooting with this medium. I often like to share my experiences and help people along the way because I know it's a different process that a lot of people in my generation haven't really tried before. I'll kind of list a few reasons throughout this video on why this is probably a good idea, why you should probably invest in a small 35mm film camera or even larger, and how it's not actually so much of a difficult task to enter into this analog world. I just wanted to start off this video by saying, regardless of how many film presets or how many looks like film workflows that you can try and replicate, there will be nothing that emulates exactly what an analog process can output. You've just got a digital copy at the end of the day. You don't have a negative, you don't have anything that you can do with later on down the track. You can't print with it in the darkroom. You can't do any of these things which are just magical about the analog process. The three most popular film sizes currently are 35mm, full frame, 120 or medium format, and 4x5 or large format. They've all got different uses and all kind of take a different skill level. A wonderful thing that film photography offers is it does offer all of these different sizes at a reasonable cost. I think the price hike from full frame digital photography to medium format digital photography is just crazy, whereas you can get medium format cameras, film cameras for super cheap. And I'd suggest when you're getting started, use 35mm film because you are probably inevitably going to mess up sometimes, and you don't really want to be shooting like super large frames when you're messing them up all the time. You just want to be using a small roll of 36 exposures or 24 exposures that you can really practice on and just hone in that craft. So the film and format, they can create quite a different look. You've got different ISO films and you've got different size films like I mentioned before. So if you can imagine, the bigger the sensor, the less grain and the sharper the image is going to be and the more detail you can kind of cram in there. There's also three different kinds of film. So there's black and white, there's color negative and color positive. The two I'd suggest when beginning is black and white and color negative. They're quite giving in terms of exposure, so if you mess up the exposure a little bit, if you underexpose it or overexpose it a bit, most black and white and color negative films are going to be okay with that just to an extent. Whereas color positive film, you need to be quite precise with your exposure. There's a pretty big distinction between a digital camera nowadays and a film camera, with the exception of Fujifilm's cameras. I know they're beautiful to look at and to shoot with, but analog cameras, they have this classic feel to them. They're lovely to hold, they're lovely to shoot, and on top of this, their price is significantly lower, aside from a few manufacturers. A lot of analog cameras, analog 35mm cameras, are actually significantly cheaper than full-frame DSLRs. And this is because it's an older technology. It is quite timed. Not a lot of people see the value in them anymore, so they pretty much just sell them for next to nothing. I've picked up a lot of cameras for under $30 Australian, just because people are like, yeah, I'm never gonna touch this again. So they sell them for quite cheap. If not, you know, they might even give them away. So after you've shot all of your images, then you need to get your images developed. And if you don't know how to do that, there's plenty of options for you. There's plenty of labs open. I know in Australia we've got a fair few labs, and that's only growing every now and then, you know, due to the demand for it. Film's kind of coming back up there again, and the community's really showing that. The community's supportive, they're happy to help a lot of people, and because of that there's a lot of business that's booming in film photography. So check out your local area, and if not, maybe even somewhere in your state or province. I'm not sure who's watching this, but check out wherever there might be a film lab or something and just send them there. If not, you can definitely develop yourself. There's heaps of YouTube videos out there. I know that's how I got introduced to developing myself. I just watched a few videos and tried it out myself. I wouldn't suggest trying developing yourself until you're confident that you're getting a good result every time. That way, when you are trying to develop yourself, you can easily see where it's a chemical mistake from you versus just an exposure mistake from when you're taking the photograph. If you wanted to print in a darkroom, there's again just so many things just going for super cheap because people just see them sitting in their garage and they put them on Marketplace or Gumtree or eBay or whatever else, and just sell them just for super cheap, just because they think that they have no value anymore, and they think that no one's going to use them anymore. So I'd suggest jumping onto your online forums or Facebook groups and things like that, and just check out to see if there's any darkroom gear or enlargers or anything like that, because printing in the darkroom is just otherworldly. It's wonderful to do. You can also scan, and again, you can get labs to do this and that kind of thing. You can also do it yourself. There's a lot of Epson scanners that are just super cheap, super affordable, and the great thing about them is you can do multiple formats on them. I've got one which does from 35mm to 4x5 or 8x10 even. And that's just a fantastic way of scanning for me. It's super cheap, it's super affordable, and it's super simple to do. So I'd check out one of those if you're interested in scanning yourself, but if not, there's plenty of places that can do it for you. I have nothing against digital. I've shot digital for forever. I don't think I'd be into photography as much as I am today without digital photography. Film photography, it's just different. It's, you know, it gives you a chance to do interesting things with your images. You have your images in a negative as opposed to some kind of card or storage or hard drive. And you've got a physical reminder of the fact that you've made this work. And I think that's just an incredible thing. One of the most special things about film photography for me personally is the process. I get to sit down with a camera without any LCDs or any digital things later on, and I get to make a photograph, and that's truly wonderful. And then afterwards I get to go home and develop it with all these chemicals and everything, as opposed to sitting in front of a computer screen, you know, glaring at this blue light. I get to go in my darkroom, I get to develop all of this, I get to wait till it dries, and then finally I can then look at getting to the final output, which could be a traditional print or a digital scan. So I think this drawn out process really makes you reflect a lot on what you're shooting and why you're shooting, and it gets you to refine yourself as a photographer a lot more, which I think a lot of people are looking for. So just in conclusion, it's not that difficult to get into analog photography today. Sure, we are in a digital age filled with computers and laptops and phones and smartphone cameras and everything, but it doesn't exclude these other methods of photography or of art making. I think exploring the roots of photography, exploring these other traditional methods, especially people in my age bracket, I'm 21, I think it's kind of fun. It's kind of like putting on a vinyl on an old record. If you have got the time, if you have got a little bit of spare cash, just give it a crack and see how you go. You might love it, you might hate it, but you know, my recommendation is just to give it a go and see how you do. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. If there's anything you'd like me to review or check out in the future, please hit me up. Yeah, it's much appreciated. If you wanted to subscribe, definitely do it, because I'm going to be posting a lot more than this. I've only just got this channel up and running, so I've got a lot more things that I'm going to be posting here. Thanks very much, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.